Hello to my gorgeous Facebook community and to our growing YouTube community. How are you doing today? Now, I've got a question for you. Have you ever experienced overwhelming anxiety in your relationship? Do you feel overwhelmed when your partner asks for space and is taking some distance from you? And do you feel the constant need for reassurance that they actually care and that they love you deeply? If you've answered yes to any of the above questions, firstly, I hear you, I feel with you, and I can relate with your story. And I'm here today to dive into your anxiety a little bit more because the chances are that your anxiety might actually be sabotaging the very connection that you are searching for. And I'd love to leave you with a couple of pointers, a couple of practices that you can go away with today to start to shift this energy in your relationship and actually create the connection that you desire. So if you've never watched any of my videos before, if this is your first time viewing, my name's Abby and I'm a relationship mentor. I am an intimacy and attachment geek and I'm a lifelong student of love, always learning and growing. And I'm on a mission to help couples who are stuck in the pursuer distancer dynamic to actually break free from that and to create the emotional safety and connection that they both desire. So we are going to deep dive into such a juicy topic today, especially if you have experienced anxiety around your partner's level of care for you. So as a heads up, as a disclaimer for everyone here, my history is that I had an anxious attachment style, which I found was sabotaging the relationships that I was in. And so my journey has been learning how to heal that attachment style and also to work with the attachment style in a way that creates a really amazing connection in my relationship. So I'm going to be sharing everything today that has worked for me, that I believe can work for you. And let me know in the comments which of these resonates with you the most. And if you're watching live, then say hi. I'd love to hear from you. If you are watching on the replay on Facebook or YouTube, then maybe you could just give us a little cheeky hashtag replay. And that really just helps us spread this video as far as we can to as many people who are struggling with anxiety, so that they can start to implement this in their relationship. So if you're familiar with the anxious attachment style, then you will already know that for those of us who are more on the anxious side of things, we tend to be very sensitive around and very insecure around our partner's availability for us. This is something I remember well. Is my partner available for me? And are they affectionate? Do they care about me? Do they love me? These are some of the questions that tend to be whirling around the mind of someone who has an anxious leaning attachment style. And this is something that gets established from childhood in the ways that we learned about love and about whether people are going to be there for us when we need them. So this is a long-standing habit that we then bring into our relationship. Now, if you are resonating with what I'm talking about here, chances are you might have an anxious attachment style, and if you do, it may be the case that you've attracted someone into your life who has an avoidant attachment style, which is the opposite. It basically means that they fear intimacy and that they feel more comfortable with distance with independence. And you can start to see how the universe brings you together to heal this dynamic. But in order to do that, we need to have the tools, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, what are some of the signs that you might be experiencing some of this anxiety in your relationship, and that it could be sabotaging the quality of your connection? Well, the first one is that if you have an anxious attachment style that you haven't learned how to handle, you may suffer or struggle with a constant fear of abandonment. Okay. Let me know in the comments if this resonates with you. It means that even when your partner reassures you that they love you, that they care, that they're here, it may even be that you're married, that you have been together many years, despite all of that, every day feels like a new day. Every day is a new day where you could be abandoned, where you could be rejected, where they might stop loving you. So you can start to see that living with this fear and this anxiety starts to become a burden in your relationship for you to carry. Because if you're scared constantly that they might leave you, then you can't really settle into the relationship. You can't really enjoy the relationship. And if your partner has a tendency to withdraw, then that, of course, reinforces your anxiety. So we start to see that the two behaviors create this cycle, this push-pull cycle, where each of you is reinforcing the other person's behavior, which then reinforces your own pain, your own wound, and your own sense of being disconnected. Okay. If you have experienced this anxiety, then it may be that every now and again the anxiety gets too much for you, and so it becomes overwhelming, and you start to have some kind of what I would call an emotional explosion or an emotional eruption. And I remember from my history, what this looked like usually was crying, kind of uncontrollably crying, or sometimes shouting, blaming, pursuing, essentially feeling emotionally overwhelmed and not knowing what to do about it. You imagine a young baby crying and wanting someone to come and look after them. That's a little bit what it's like with the anxious attachment style. Because we haven't learned how to soothe ourselves, there's an expectation that you may want your partner to soothe you in those moments. Now, of course, this can sabotage the connection that you have, because that is a massive expectation to put on another person, to be able to look after you when you're not able to look after yourself is a huge weight. And you can imagine if you're coming to your partner with this intense energy that says, I need you to look after me, and if you don't, there's going to be trouble, then that can lead your partner to feel like they have no wriggle room to make mistakes, or to be imperfect, to be messy. And if they already have a fear of intimacy and closeness, then they are likely to back away. So this, of course, is not the ingredients for fertile, beautiful love and connection. These are the ingredients for sparring and disconnection and feeling like you're on opposite teams. And we don't want that. You don't want that. I'm sure you don't want that in your relationship, which is why you're watching this video today. So even though your attempts to be connected and to be close are really well intentioned. And even though you have very legitimate needs for connection, it's to do with the energy and the manner that you bring them into your relationship. And it may be that that is creating a sense of unsafety. Now, how can we overcome this? Okay, what can you do about this today? I'm going to share with you 3 techniques, tips that have worked for me in my life. And I would love for you to let me know in the comments which of these resonate with you. Which of these you would think would make the biggest difference in your relationship. I would love to hear. So, the first one for me is all to do with regulating your emotions, learning how to soothe yourself. So what this has meant for me is learning when I get triggered, when I get the anxiety, when the anxiety comes up, learning how to actually take a time out, to take a little bit of space and to soothe myself. So if my anxiety is at a 10, learning how to give myself everything that I would be expecting my partner to give me, to validate my feelings, to hear my feelings, to understand why I feel the way that I do, to maybe understand even a bit about my history, and it makes sense given my history that I feel this way, to really bring myself down from that 10 to about a 2 or a 3. And it's at that point, once you learn how to do that consistently, when you learn how to soothe your emotions, your feelings, your anxiety, at that point you can then approach your partner with a less intense energy and ask them for your needs to be met. So at that point, you can ask for some reassurance. You can ask for some connection and care. You can ask to share a little bit about what happened, to feel heard, to feel validated. But that kind of connection where we can give each other reassurance is really only possible when we're not activated at a 10. So the biggest tool for me that I've learned in my life and that I offer to my anxious clients is the tool of self-soothing, the tool of self-regulating. And again, this doesn't mean that you don't need care from your partner, but it means that the first step that you take is to take care of yourself. This can be a lifelong habit, or this can be a lifelong journey, but you would be amazed at how much you can grow in this area in, let's say, a month or 3 months if you apply this consistently and if you really take this self-soothing seriously. So how do you think that could impact your relationship? How do you think that could improve the quality of your connection? Leave it in the comments. I would love to hear. So my second practice, or my second tip, the thing that has worked for me, is learning how to communicate my feelings, needs effectively. Okay, so instead of, because one of the things that we can struggle with if we have anxiety is that we don't want to share our feelings and our needs because we're scared, we're anxious that if we do that, we will be less lovable. And if we're less lovable, then that's our biggest fear, because then we might be rejected. So one of the huge growth areas for anyone who has an anxious attachment style is to learn that actually a healthy relationship requires you to share your needs, to share your feelings, and for your partner to do the same. So the goal is not to be to not have any needs, but the goal is to learn how to be direct with your needs instead of being indirect, instead of saying things in a way that it is not clear to your partner, or saying it in a way that is so intense that it's not safe for your partner. It's learning how to communicate your needs, your feelings, your truth in a way that can be heard. So, who here today struggles with that sometimes? Being able to clearly and vulnerably share your feelings and needs. For me, this is an absolute game changer, and it is essential for you having the two-way relationship that you desire. Oh, we're going there today. Okay, and the third practice, and this one is so important if you are in a relationship right now where you are, let's say, experiencing some tension. Chances are that there may be some trust that needs to be rebuilt on both sides. And so something that can be really key is making agreements and setting boundaries together. So if you have been showing up with this unbridled anxious energy, and your partner has been showing up with this unbridled avoidant energy, then probably both of you are feeling hurt and scared. So there is trust that needs to be rebuilt. And the way that I found that trust can be rebuilt, the quickest way, is to make agreements and to start sticking to them. So some examples of agreements might be that your partner agrees whenever you argue, if they need to take some space, that they tell you when they're coming back. And then they stick to it. Okay. But likewise, you might have some agreements that you want to make to rebuild the trust. So for example, I agree that I will not call you names. I agree that I will not blame you or criticize you. I agree that I will look after my own feelings before asking you to give me reassurance if I start to get overwhelmed. So these are some agreements and boundaries that you can put into your relationship today or this week, after having a discussion with your partner, to say, hey, what can we agree on that's going to create more safety here? And this is going to massively change the landscape and quality of your relationship, because you are creating safety where before there was chaos, or there was two people on different teams. Okay, you're getting onto the same team. So these are my top 3 tips that have helped me the most in managing my anxiety, learning how to regulate my own feelings and to self-soothe, learning how to communicate what my needs actually are, and creating agreements together that rebuild the trust and the safety. Which of these 3 do you feel your relationship could benefit from the most? Which of these do you think would help you the most with your anxiety? Leave it in the comments. I would love to hear and to read about your story. I want to leave you with a little bit of encouragement, because here's the thing. It is perfectly possible for you to break free from this cycle. I know because I've done it, and all it takes is a willingness to do the work, to learn the tools, and to put one wobbly step in front of the other. And you would be amazed by how much transformation can occur when you start to take ownership of your part of the dynamic. So if you have any questions about this, then I would love to answer them. You can leave them in the comments and I will answer them in a future live video. And for anyone who is really seriously ready to take your relationship to the next level, to break free from this pursuer distancer trap, and to actually get the connection and the safety that you both desire, I would love to offer to you, to 4 couples in the community, a month's worth of couples mentoring sessions. That's sessions with me, you, and your partner. 4 sessions over the course of a month, 90 minutes each, completely tailored to your relationship, so that we can work on this dynamic and create some new energy, some new habits to get you feeling accepted and connected. I would love to work with you on this. I'm offering for these 4 couples the lowest price on my mentoring that I'm ever going to be offering for couples work ever. So if this is resonating with you, then now is the time to book with me. I'm going to leave you a little link in the description. All you need to do is click on it and you can book a discovery call and we can have a chat together with your partner and answer any questions that you have. You totally deserve to overcome this challenge and to feel safe and to feel loved and to feel connected. Both of you deserve that, and I would love and be so honored to be a part of your journey. So if that's calling to you, then click on the link. If this video has been helpful to you, then share on your socials. It really helps to spread the word. And I would love to hear what has been your biggest takeaway from today's live video. What is it that you're going to be doing differently? I love showing up here with you guys. I love it so much, and I will see you in our next live video. Much love. Mwah!